Welcome to the Felt Dyslexic podcast. My name is Elizabeth Buckridge. For me, as a dyslexic artist, other artists and creatives have always been my number one inspiration. On this podcast, we talk to artists who share their stories and we gain insight into their artistic process from inspiration to art tips, career building, and more. We're so lucky to listen to the wisdom of Elena Soini. I'm so excited to hear about her past and future projects and insights on life as an artist. Hi.
Hi, Liz.
Thank you for being with us today. So, describe the art you make. What mediums do you primarily work in, and why did you choose that medium?
So, as you can see around you these days, I'm primarily working with wood, and that has become my go-to for the past several decades now, really.
So, do you work in other mediums too?
I have in the
You
past.
have?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a lot of things from ceramics to stained glass, jewelry making, painting, drawing, a little bit of carving. I've done a bunch of things.
Amazing. So, how did you get into making art? Can you tell us about your background and how you first became interested in art?
Yeah, I don't really remember the beginning. It's always kind of been there. As soon as I could pick up a pencil or a crayon or we used to have the little etch-a-sketch things and it wasn't really quite etch-a-sketch. It was like you could draw on a film and then lift it up and it would go away and
Oh,
then you could
right.
draw again. I
Yeah.
forget what they're called. But anyway, I was always doodling and doing things like that. So it's kind of always been there for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Um, so how did you get into your specific style? Like what themes or subjects inspire your work?
Nature is a big inspiration for me and always has been. I also am a really um, big fan of some of the masters, Sam Maloof and architect Hadid. Um, uh,
Is he modern? That
she,
or she?
she,
Sorry.
yeah. And I always get her name wrong, so I'm sorry. I mean, I have to look.
No, we'll put it in the show notes, but that's
Um,
fine.
Yeah. So, Zaha Hadid.
Mm.
She's no longer with us, but she did some really inspirational architecture. She deals a lot with curves and uh, exoskeleton type
I feel like I've seen it
architecture. I'm sure
before.
that you have.
Yeah,
And Sam Maloof is probably one of the best woodworkers of our modern time anyway, that has been inspirational to me.
amazing. Cannot wait to look that person up. Um, so do you consider yourself neurodivergent or neurotypical?
I had to look the word up, to be honest with you, to see what the meaning actually was. And I guess that I would say no, probably not, but
Well,
may
like you're neurotypical, you mean?
well, I don't know. I mean,
Well, a little bit of both.
what does it even really mean
So,
to,
yeah.
because I think we're all different and it's a hard thing to measure. So people, I think, like to name things and know things, and I, I don't know. I don't really know the answer to that. My mind works in different ways than a lot of people that I know, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? I'm just different. I'm just
I
me.
love that answer. Have you faced any challenges or setbacks in your art career, and like how did you get over them?
Well, I'm not sure I'm over them, honestly. I wanted to get into art as a career when I was younger and looking at my future ahead when I got out of high school. I wasn't a big fan of high school really, but I wanted to do something that was special and important to me. And it was the 80s and the economy was really bad. And I had interviewed at the Institute of Art in Colorado and was planning on going there and chickened out because I was afraid that I wouldn't be successful, that I wouldn't be able to make money, that it was going to just lead kind of nowhere. So instead, I joined the Coast Guard, and that was interruption number one. that lasted 21 years. So, when I retired, I decided to go back to what was really important to me. And that's how I ended up back to kind of square one in a lot of ways.
Amazing. So it wasn't really a setback. I feel like joining the Coast Guard is an adventure in a way.
It was, but it was a total different use of my brain, eh, different energy, different side of thinking, really structured, very linear, and not very creative. So I missed that piece for a long time.
Mhm. Um, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Somerville, Mass, and then Sudbury, Mass. But when I was thinking about this question, I think some of my fondest memories actually were spent in Maine and in the mountains of Maine and the Maine coast. My grandparents lived in Westbrook when I was young, so I spent a lot of time there. And then my cousins were in New Hampshire and Vermont, so I spent a lot of time in that area. And that was more important, I think, to my spirit than, you know, living in either Somerville or Sudbury.
Anything? Was that summers? Did you say? Did you summer there or did you
I
just go
spent
all the time?
I spent vacation, mostly vacations, but so summer vacations absolutely, but then we were there in the wintertime and the fall.
Um, did you do art when you were a kid?
I
Do you
did.
remember?
Yeah, I always was doing something. So
Just anything you
yeah,
could get your,
anything really.
yeah,
And I love to build stuff. And I really I did the things that were most accessible to me, which was a lot of painting, a lot of drawing. You could bring those things with you anywhere, and I did. And then as I grew up more and had access to other things, I explored other medias too.
amazing. Okay, so this happens to be my favorite subject, but so it might seem a little bit out of nowhere, but do you have a favorite colorway for your art?
So I deal mostly with wood grain. So it's kind of a interesting question for where I do most of my work now. But I do think that I'm always looking for something that's unique or uniquely beautiful, whether it's a burl or some courtesan wood or, some interesting grain pattern or knots. All those things play into and can work well with each other, in an overall piece.
I feel like there's dark wood, light wood, like Scandinavian, maybe like more light, and then like the old school things, the dark wood. So
Yes,
you don't
so
have like a favorite?
I no, not really. I mean, I work a lot with cedar now because it's lightweight and it's very workable, but it's not necessarily my favorite wood. I like maples a lot. Mahoganies can be really beautiful, and there's so many of them. Walnut is also beautiful, but it depends on what you're using it for, whether or not it will make sense for that purpose. So,
Fascinating. Our cabin in Plymouth, I think, is made out of hemlock, which it might
oh,
be
cool.
harder to get, or maybe it's a hardwood. I don't know. Do you know anything about it?
I don't use it a lot, but it is available still, and it's workable for sure.
That's cool. It's
That
like
is cool.
cement now. I mean, it is,
Yeah.
yeah. So do you have a lot of wood in the house?
So, okay, I will say yes, but it's also a little bit of the carpenter's house. It's the one that's falling down because the carpenter never has time to work on it. So there are a lot of projects that I'd like to get to that I haven't.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yes.
So describe the space we're in.
Okay, so this is my workspace. It's a shop that I set up um, just around the pandemic. And it was nothing but a dirt floor out here. I had no electricity. It was gross. So I had to,
That was one of the first things I commented on is the floor. Like you redid the floor. It is
yeah, and
wood floor, painted
it's
wood floor,
it's
and sturdy.
it's comfortable, it's insulated, and it has a vapor barrier to keep the nastiness of the old floor out,
Okay.
which is nice. But it's very comfortable out here now, although a little bit cramped. I set it up in a way that makes good sense in terms of function. So even though it's a tiny shop, it's a very productive shop.
I love tiny spaces. I prefer tiny spaces, actually.
I wish I had more room. But you're welcome here anytime, Liz. Come
Ooh,
over.
okay. I will take you up on that. Is making art an emotional process or a strategic process for you?
Both. It can be both.
So walk us through a creative process from idea to finished piece, if that's possible.
Yeah, sure. It almost always follows the same path. I get a crazy idea. I start sketching on paper, and then I take that sketch. And now I'm working a lot with computer aided design. So I'll bring it into CAD and work out some construction details so that I can see how things will be, how they'll be joined, and then also get a really good visual of, something that's realistic versus just a pen and paper kind of drawing. And then I can take it from there and do cut sheets, determine what I'm going to need for lumber, go purchase and pick out my lumber, mill, make parts, construct, and then finish.
Where do you get your wood?
It depends on the project. So there are a few yards around. If I'm looking just for a small quantity, I'll just go to Broden Millworks, which is local. If I need more than that, I might travel to Somerset or to one of the other yards because sometimes it's worth the drive to get a cheaper price or different selection.
We'll
So
have to put them in our show notes.
it
So
depends.
anybody that's working with wood and needs a place.
Yeah, those guys are nice over there. They don't have a huge selection though, so if you're looking for exotics or something like that, they probably don't have that.
Good enough. So, how do you combine the art you love to make and the art you want to sell?
I saw that question. I really I suck at selling things. Um, so I hope to be better, but right now my passion product right now is my finished sauna, and I'm hoping for great things with that, and also some community, and then some time to work on some other things. It's been so time consuming that I haven't had time to think about other things. But eventually I have to get there, Liz. I have to make some money somehow.
Oh, we're hoping to help you. People need to find you. Um, so
Anyway,
how do
can
people,
I back up to that
yeah,
question for
yeah,
one
you
sec?
can.
Because in reality, the things that do bring me income are all direct commission, and they're all individual. So it's not like I have a product. I don't have you can't go to my website and find a thing to buy, but you could go to my website and see some of the work that I've done and see if I'm a good fit for, you know, doing those
Well,
things.
that was my next thing. Like how do people find your art to purchase? And because we'll be putting your information in the show notes, but I just, you have a website that we can.
I do have a website. It's under construction in a lot of ways. So I have a way to connect through that website if anybody's interested. And there are some examples of some past work, but it's not really where I'm at right now. So, um,
I
you
feel
know,
like all artists are always growing. We're
uh,
growing our work. We're working on our website. We're working on this project. We're all over the place, and I think that that's going to be one of the things that when people watch these interviews, I'm pretty sure everyone is going to say, I do a lot of things.
yeah, yeah, right. We all do, right? And I think for me, it's such a weak area I'm not good at the social media thing. I'm not good at the website thing. Like, I'm not good at updating information about myself. I spend more time doing the work than I do paying attention to actually doing that kind of work.
I call it the
So,
details.
yeah. Yes. Yeah,
I
well,
need
I'm
help
not
with
good
the
at it.
details. Yes. I mean, you can't be everything, right? Like
Right.
nobody can be everything,
Yeah, I
right?
need
Like how do you
somebody.
be how are you an artist and a dreamer and like a inspiration for your community and do the details? Like that's just I don't know. Maybe those people exist, but
I think they do, but I'm just not that person.
me either. Um, so can you tell me a little bit more about the this project you're working on with the sauna and what you're happy about?
Yeah, I'd love to. So this idea started in 2019. I really was wanting to winter swim and not a big fan of cold water. I felt like I needed a sauna. And both Melanie and I are Finnish. So it's like, I why can't I just have one? I mean, all the Finns do, right? I should have one. So I was looking at ways that I could put this thing on wheels, and it was a little bit before people started putting them on wheels. Now they're kind of popping up everywhere. However, this one is going to be special. It's been a lot of design years, and it's finally coming to fruition. So it has some really beautiful aspects to it. I think it's going to be a warm and inviting place, and literally, but also aesthetically. And I've put a lot of attention into the details of it, and I really want to build some community with it, because that's what it's all about.
Really exciting. Hmm. Got me thinking now. Community is one of my big words, one of my top 10 for sure. So how do you stay motivated?
Well, I'm motivated by the clock right now because winter is coming and I want to be ready for it. So, the motivation is there even though it was hot, hot summer days and I couldn't imagine wanting to be hotter than that. But I will when winter comes. So, yeah, the clock is my motivation at the moment.
I actually, oh, I don't have it. It's over there. I carry around hourglasses
Oh, cool.
with me.
All right.
I'm very time motivated too.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fast.
are there any other artists like you told us about a little bit about the architects, but are there any other creatives that have influenced or inspired your work?
Oh yeah, I mean everywhere really. There are so many great modern artists and classic artists. And my mother has always been a supporter of fine art, so I spend a lot of time in museums, and there are all the greats, and some of that is inspirational, some of it I could leave behind, but there are great modern artists out there too. I find some of the it's easy to get sucked into Instagram and some of the Instagram reels and things, but there are people who are doing amazing things everywhere. And I think it's all inspirational, you know?
So, is there anyone local you like? Does anybody pop into your head?
Yeah, I love Whitney. Whitney's amazing. She does some really nice pen and ink, and she has a fun sense of humor too. So I appreciate that. There's a little bit of satire and sarcasm.
We'll be talking to Whitney.
Yeah, Whitney's awesome. Yeah, and there are people all over town. My friend Locke is a really good artist, and he's also a woodworker, but he does some really cool jewelry and stuff.
Oh,
So
maybe we can talk to him.
yeah, you should talk to Locke as
All right,
well.
cool. Will you
Yeah,
give us an intro?
I will for sure.
Nice.
Yep.
So, what advice would you give to an aspiring artist looking to to pursue a career in art?
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I would say, follow your heart and stick with it. Really stick with it.
Is that what you would have said to yourself instead of going to the Coast Guard?
Probably. I mean, my life would have been so different, right? It's hard to tell, and you don't have the option to go back. So
So maybe just keep doing art no
keep
matter
doing it.
what
Yeah,
you're
stay.
doing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's better. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Okay, so this one is a little different. What is your favorite book, movie, song, podcast, or maybe top five of any of those?
Yeah.
Or
So I'm not a huge movie buff, but I have some old classic favorites. Breakfast Club, Fargo, Reservoir Dogs, and The Heat with Melissa McCarthy, just because it totally cracked me up. Those movies, they're probably the only ones that I could remember anyway. I just finished a series of books by Tana French. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a mystery writer, very good. And then music, I'm all over the road. I don't have a favorite. I just go with the go with it.
how about a podcast?
Podcasts, yeah, I like true crime a lot. So, but there are a couple other that I've listened to lately that have been good as well. You'd have to get back to me for a list.
Okay, I will. So, do you recommend anything over and over again that's like different from your favorite? Like a book or
You know, the book that always seems to come up is Training the Best Dog Ever.
I love that. All right. I love that. And then what do you want to talk about that I didn't ask?
Um, you know, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you today. I gave that question a lot of thought, and I think that where the conversation should go is the importance of art overall and the importance of art and creativity in our community and allowing kids to have the mental space to be creative and unplug from all the noise and observe, get out into nature and have that time. I don't know where kids have time anymore for that kind of mental processing.
Daydreaming?
Daydreaming, yeah, or boredom. Great things come from boredom.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
Um, Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. I'm really honored.
I know. Thank you for letting us into your studio. This is amazing. I can't wait for everybody to check out your work. And I felt inspired for sure.
Oh, thanks.
Much love, and I will see you next week. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Liz.
Yay.